So there are books that have literally changed history, books that have challenged us and inspired us.
And that's all well and good, but have you ever been rescued by a book?
Today we're sharing 10 times that books have rescued us. Recently, I found myself in the ER with a family member, and 4 hours and 9 stitches later, I was really glad that I had an emergency book out in the car.
And no, it wasn't either one of us. Everyone is on the mend now, but that did get us thinking about the times that books have saved us.
Looking back, there have been quite a few times, so we thought it would be fun to share some of those with you all today. We would also like to hear your stories.
So let's go ahead and get started.
There have been so many times when having an emergency book stashed in my car has been a lifesaver for me for unexpected trips to the doctor, the dentist, the ER. Here I am on my latest trip to the emergency room, and I had this book by Scott Hahn stashed in my car. And you guys, I had literally just put it in my car that morning. So I was so thankful to have it. I got halfway through the book while we were there. I'm not a big TV watcher, and this waiting room was pretty small and very crowded with a lot of sick people. So I was very thankful to have that book. It would have been a long afternoon without it.
So number 2 is that books really saved us during the pandemic. Now, as Jennifer mentioned, neither of us are super big TV watchers, so we relied very heavily on our home library during that time. Neither of us are big ebook readers either, and our library was completely shut down. We know that some libraries you could order online and pick up in the lobby or different systems like that. But our library had nothing. It was just completely shut down totally. So we relied very heavily on our already established home library, and we were so grateful to have that, and we got a lot of reading done.
Books have rescued us many times in the gift-giving department. You know how it is, sometimes you find out at the very last minute that there's an extra person coming for Christmas, or it's someone's birthday and you want to give them a present, but you just don't have time to go out and buy one. So we solve that problem with books to the rescue. We keep an emergency supply of journals on hand because they're fun, they come in all shapes and sizes, they store easily, they don't expire, and they just take the stress out of all those times when you want to give someone a gift, but there's just no time to shop.
So number 4, for those of you who have been here for a while, you will know that we homeschooled back in the day, and with that came our fair share of rough homeschooling days. So when that happened, we would pack everything up and take it to the library, and something in that atmosphere was just very calming, very soothing, and it settled us down. We were nice to each other again, and we got all of our work done. And this is still something that we do nowadays when we're just cooped up in the house, we need to get out somewhere, we're feeling overwhelmed. We'll take up our YouTube work or whatever and take it to the library and do it there for that change of pace. So we were so grateful to be able to do that then and to be able to do it now. And let's just say book exposure therapy for the win.
Books came to the rescue recently for us once again on a road trip when we had plans to meet up with a friend for lunch, but then she was unexpectedly delayed for a good couple of hours. So it was really hot outside. We were checked out of the hotel. We had already done all the sightseeing in the area that we wanted. So we were at a bit of a loss. Like, what are we going to do to pass this time? And then Kate had a brilliant idea. She said, look, you know, we both have books with us. Of course we did. So why don't we just go somewhere and sit and read? So we wound up going to a local library, and it was just delightful. They had so many interesting book displays and things to do in the library. We sat in the air conditioning and we read and we looked at everything, and the hours just went by so fast.
So number 6 is when we went to Lourdes last year, which was amazing. We made a whole video on it, but getting to and from Lourdes was very trying in some spots, especially the from part of that. We hit a lot of delays on our way back, which was very exhausting. Let me say, sitting in Charles de Gaulle, the Paris airport, for 6+ hours of delay is not fun for anyone under any circumstances. So we were so glad to have our books with us. In a situation like that, you can only scroll or people watch or even talk to each other for so long before you're going absolutely insane. So we were incredibly happy to have our books in our carry-on bags so we could take out and read to help the time go by so much faster and keep us in a better frame of mind.
Last year around this time, we encountered a very powerful force of nature, Hurricane Helene. Helene rolled through our neighborhood and caused a lot of damage. We had massive trees down, we had no electricity, no water, no internet, and cell phone service was sketchy at best. So we also had no air conditioning and it was really hot outside, but the good news is that books don't require any power source. So we definitely leaned into our home library during that time, and it did help keep our stress levels a lot lower.
So number 8, as many of you know, my grandfather passed away last year from dementia, and that was a very long and very rough road that we journeyed on. So we were very grateful to have books that we could use as a little bit of a diversion and escape through the worst of it, especially in those months leading up to his death and the months right after. We were so grateful to be able to come home and open a good book to read, just to focus our minds on anything else and just relieve our stress. And it was a huge blessing during that time.
About 3 or 4 years ago, books rescued me in the form of this journal. Now, this was at a time when kids were graduating from high school and my dad was starting to really decline from his dementia, and it seemed like every day was too busy and it was all just going by in a blur. And I wondered, am I even going to be able to remember any of this? So I decided that I don't have a lot of time to keep up with an involved journal, but I could just write a couple of lines every night in this book. And that immediately brought me such a sense of peace because yes, here is my life. I have it documented. I can look back and see that I was there and this really happened. So I have kept that up for several years now, and it doesn't take long every night, and I really enjoy looking back over the past few years. So this was a big happy ending for me, rescued by this book.
And then lastly, number 10, I could not talk about book rescues without talking about my reading journal. So I love having a place to record all the books that I read and what I thought about them right there in the moment before I forget. And that has saved me so many times. Literally just yesterday, I was asked to write reviews for a trilogy of books that I read 2+ years ago. So I had to dig this out and flip through. I found the books, I read my thoughts, and I was able to write the reviews and submit them in a timely manner. I also use my reading journals in the moment. If I'm reading a book that I'm going to review, I'll be writing down page numbers and saying, oh, I want to come back to this, I want to talk about that in the review. So it's a good brain dump spot that I can use, especially because we do so many book reviews here on the channel. So yeah, reading journals have saved me so many times, and I'm definitely not stopping with this anytime soon.
So as you can see, books don't just entertain us, they can and have rescued us from things like challenging times, depression, stress, weird and awkward situations, pandemic.
But now let us know down in the comments, what are some times that books have rescued you? Because we know that you all probably have some very interesting stories to tell.
So we hope you enjoyed the video today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.